Welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are here live with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarland. It's good to see you. And we see the new hair that we had a preview of yesterday. It looks great.
I should have actually styled it today. Obviously, I didn't. I just kind of pulled it back. But yes, the grays are gone. You can kind of see I'm looking a little bit better.
We couldn't see the grays beforehand. But the funny thing is, on my other monitor, I have just the replay of the show. It's not playing now, but yesterday showed the still picture. You know how it freezes on, and so over here I can look and see all those things, whatever they call those things. The foil. So I see you over there with all the foil pre, and then here's the post. So it's nice. There you
go. So for maybe some of the people who've never had their hair foiled before, they like which side should be like the side. They take the hair like that, right? And then they kind of do it way better than me. They weave it in and out like this. And then you lift up just those pieces and you put foil under it. And then they brush on the hair color just right there. That's how the magic happens.
It's like the equivalent for hair of painter's tape when you're edging your room and you don't want the color to bleed over to the molding. And
it's truly like aluminum foil. So but it keeps it from bleeding onto other parts of the hair.
So I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah, you paint the hair color on, and then they fold it over so it doesn't touch anything else, and then fold the sides over so it's like a little packet.
Because I would have guessed
what you saw were those little packets in the hair.
I would have guessed the coloring stuff was inside those packets, and you were kind of using that to apply.
No, those are called highlights. Those are called highlights, and so some women or men, right, use hair color all over their hair, which is where you put it all over and get it all saturated and wet, and then you let it sit and rinse it out. Well, if you're
not part of that hair lifestyle anymore. So
if you just want to get rid of a little bit of the gray, you can highlight, which is using the little foil packets. Sometimes they use saran wrap too. If your hair is really long and they're painting it on long sections of it, they can use a long piece of saran wrap and paint it on there. So anyway, that's all that. Right.
Well, speaking of gray, though, every day I've got to either shave or do something. I'm starting to look like the old man in the sea here.
A lot of people are using the pinks and purples and blues. You maybe could just do a little temporary kind of pink beard.
I'll have to look in the medicine cabinet and see what's available to me.
Probably not that.
Probably not.
So listen, I have news for you.
Let's hear it.
You always bring me bad news, and so I'm bringing you.
I have no bad news today.
Your favorite store, Brooks Brothers, bankruptcy filing.
I did see that. I thought about bringing it up, and I thought, oh, that's tough. So we had talked about this a few weeks back, as I recall, and that it might happen because they were closing some factories.
Right.
Or announced that they were closing some factories. And so they're filing today. I hope they'll survive. At the time, I remember thinking, I should order a couple of suits. And then I didn't. I still could, of course, but I just have no need for any more new suits and don't know when I'll ever need them.
Which is why they're probably not doing well, right?
Yeah.
People are not in the market for that type of clothing right now.
Yeah. So shout out to Brooks Brothers. And one stat I did see, which was cool, was they claim to have outfitted 40 of the 45 U.S. presidents at one time or another.
Have they really? They've been around that long?
They've been around for 200 years. I think.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's sad.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Anytime any of these stores and obviously people are losing jobs is not good. So
yeah, really tough.
Well, they're looking for a buyer, so there's still hope for Brooks Brothers. But yes, filing for bankruptcy today. I also read that Mary Kay Letourneau has passed away from cancer. Does that name sound familiar?
So yes, I'm vaguely familiar with the story, and I did see that headline. That's a weird, wild story.
So for anybody that kind of remembers her name, she was probably the first teacher maybe ever prosecuted for having a relationship with her 13-year-old student at
13. Time. Wow.
He was 13. Weird. And she got off fairly light. As I recall, it was 6 months probation or something like that, and had a baby with him and everything, but then was supposed to stay away from him. Well, she couldn't. Wound up getting pregnant again and served, I think it was 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, she did time. Yeah, but they ended up going back together, right? As a couple?
Yes, they got married when he was of age, and have those two daughters. So weird stuff. It's weird when like names from the past like that, sort of infamous, you know, people come up. Not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I saw a whole thing on the whole Joey Buttafuoco, Amy Fisher.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that name in forever.
What was his wife's name? She was the one that was on TV again. And I thought,
yeah.
Mary Jo?
Mary Jo sounds about
Mary
right.
Jo
Yeah.
Buttafuoco, is that it? Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like these people have all disappeared for like 20 or 30 years. And then here they are, like all coming back out of the woodwork. So anyway, interesting to see how stories from that long ago and how the public reacted then, how things are being reacted to now.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I saved this because it came up right before we went live. Chris Havrilla, our good friend Chris, had posted this on Instagram. It says, "Don't blame a clown for acting like a clown. Blame yourself for going to the circus."
Okay, that's interesting. I always take what she says with a slight grain of salt, seeing as she's a University of Georgia fan. And
Are you talking smack about Chris Havrilla?
I'm talking smack about the University of Georgia. I'm throwing a smackdown out there. So I guess that's funny enough. But
you know what? Can I tell you? Chris and I talk at least twice a week, and I love her to pieces. She's like family, but I do think we need to invite her on one of these work breaks because one thing I was talking with her the other day about how people get into human resources at all in whatever, you know, whether it's HR tech or just human resources or business that leads into HR somehow dealing with people. And it was just fascinating. You know, her background is so much into the technology side of things. And so it would be really fun, I think, to talk to maybe some different people and ask them how they got into the business. So I'll start with you before we end for today. Like, I know you said that you were a finance major. How did you actually then work into HR technology as opposed to being a finance person?
Yeah, I did find it's not actually that terribly exciting story, but I did finance technology for a long time, did a number of implementations, traveled a lot doing software implementations on the finance side. And I had a client that we had for a very long time, and they had they were going a full suite ERP kind of implementation at a fairly big customer. And the finance and distribution and all that part of it was first. And the human resources and the payroll was going to come kind of in the second big phase.
Okay.
And so I'd been there throughout the whole first phase with on the finance side, and just had a good relationship with the client and the people there. And just, they liked me. I was probably a lot of, on big projects like that, people cycle through quite a bit, the consultings, the implementers, but I had been there a really long time. And so they wanted me to stay for phase two. And I was like, well, I don't really know these modules all that well. I know enough about them. And they're like, okay, well, we like you. We'd rather you figure it out versus bring in people that we don't like or we don't know. I shouldn't say that we don't like, but they didn't want to start new with new consultants. And so we did bring in one or two other folks who had a little more domain expertise, but that was it. I just learned on the fly how to implement HR and payroll on that one particular customer. And then all of a sudden, and I liked it better. Honestly, after that, I liked that part.
Okay, that was going to be my question. So.
Yeah, it was more fun. It's hard to get charged up after 8 or 9 years of like implementing accounts payable around the world, or having endless arguments about general ledger accounting conventions. That's like, some people are really into that after a while.
I was going to say, I think that's probably really similar to any kind of technology. Honestly, if you really get into the weeds, it's probably all not super interesting to a majority of people. Yeah. But if it's your thing, well, that's good. I think that's interesting.
I had one quick one for you, Trish. What do you think about these influencer lists? Is this something you think about, you care about, you're concerned about?
Am I concerned about it? Do I think about it? No, I do not.
Well, we're on a list. We're on a list that was published, and a lot of people were tweeting about it. And I saw a lot of tweets about it. So congratulations to you, and I guess to me too.
Thank you. Look, first and foremost, anytime anyone takes the time to recognize the work that you're doing, and whether that's called an influencer list or whatever it's called, is very kind. I'm very happy that someone takes the time to do that, or to maybe listen to us, or to read what we write, or follow what we're doing. I think it's really generous of their time. What bothers me about them is, well, they're never inclusive, right? There's all these like, we're inclusive. They're never inclusive. They just can't be. It's a list, right? There's a finite number of people you can put on. And I think I wish that there were lists that were a little more, I I'd rather have a list of even 10 or 20 people that they actually interviewed and found out what is your real background?
Mhm.
Are you really influential and in what way? Versus, I know this one that just came out, and this isn't a rip on them. It's really any list. They don't really find out who you are, what you do. And so, for example, on this one, I'm on is HR technology, which it fits. You can see what I tweet about and write about, and that's HR technology. But sometimes you wind up on a list and you're like on there for employee engagement or something. Like, who knows? They're so random, and I think that's the thing. It's clickbait a lot of times.
A little bit, yeah. I just thought I pointed it out because someone was tweeting about it, and I woke up and I had like 17 notifications about it this morning, and so I thought I'd mention it. Yeah,
no, it's nice. What do you? I mean, are you okay with being on a list?
I can't decide if I'm happier to be on the list or I'd be angry if I was off because my ego's so fragile. So yeah, I'm happy to be on. I probably wouldn't have brought it up if I wasn't on the list.
Here's a request to anybody who wants to make an influencer list of any kind. Please define what the word influence means to you when you make your list. That's all. Yeah. Because if it just means that someone goes on and tweets a little bit, okay, then that's fine. Then say, you know what, these people tweet a lot, whatever. To me, personally,
I'm thinking most people tweet too much, by the way. That's an aside, has nothing to do with the list. Right. That has to do with life. That is life advice for everyone.
To me, influence in my world means, have I helped someone do something different, make a different decision, change a process, buy a technology differently than they would have before, approach an employment relations situation differently than they would have before. And it's weird because I actually get more of that from sort of speaking at events or on webinars or that sort of thing, where people come back to you 6 months, a year later and say, hey, that one thing that you talked about or that example you gave, I went back to my workplace and I tried it. I did it. It worked. We changed things. We saved money, whatever it is. To me, I like that far better than being just on a list, because no one knows. What does that mean? Really?
Yeah. And
what am I influencing?
That's super hard to quantify too, though. That's the problem with the example you're giving.
But if you're asking me more like meaningful, it's more meaningful. Again, if someone were to interview me and say like, hey, we're considering writing a list of influencers, can you tell me some times where you have been influential?
See, but I'm gonna tell you, like, again, this is my ego thing. If someone contacted me to interview me for possible consideration for their list, and I took the time to do that, and then I wasn't put on the list, I think I'd be enraged. I would be. It's like applying for a job and not getting it.
They would put you on the non-influential list.
I didn't realize we were going to talk about it so long. I just wanted to mention it real quick. But I should have mentioned it 9 minutes ago.
It's a good topic, and it happens in every industry. There are always people. Again, if you're sharing good content, are you influential? Probably. If you're helping people without charging them and truly being helpful to your community, yes, you're influential. So there are many definitions. Right. I'm grateful. You need to say who put out
the list. Was put together by the folks at Engagedly. So shout out to them.
Engagedly. And thank you, Engagedly, for putting me in the category of HR technology, because spot on, because many of them get me in the wrong spot. So I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the comments that are coming up along the side here. We appreciate you. Keep tweeting at us. Tweet at Steve. Steve likes to get little direct messages about things.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.